Have you ever opened your fridge, stared at the fruit drawer, and thought, what can I actually eat without worrying about my blood sugar going through the roof? If that's ever crossed your mind, let me tell you, you're absolutely not alone. It's one of the most common questions I hear from folks who are trying to keep their health in check, especially after 60. Maybe you've been told to avoid sweet fruits altogether. Maybe a friend of yours said, bananas? Oh no, they're full of sugar. And then you're left there, holding that apple or grape, wondering if it's a small act of health or a tiny act of rebellion. Here's the truth. Not all sweet fruits are the enemy. In fact, some of them are not just safe, but incredibly helpful in the fight against diabetes. That's right. Nature, in all its sweet wisdom, has given us some powerful allies. And today, we're going to talk about two of them. These aren't exotic or hard-to-find superfoods. These are fruits you've probably walked past 100 times at the store, or maybe even have sitting on your counter right now. Now, before we get into the details, I want you to know this. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by health advice or like it's just too late to make a change, take a deep breath, because it's not. Whether you've been managing diabetes for years or you're just keeping an eye on your numbers, there are simple, realistic steps you can take to support your body. And sometimes it starts with something as small and sweet as a piece of fruit. So let's dive into the first one. It's probably the most underestimated fruit when it comes to blood sugar control, and it's one you might already love. I'm talking about blueberries. Yes, those tiny, deep blue gems. Blueberries are more than just delicious. They're packed with something called anthocyanins, which are powerful antioxidants. Now, I know antioxidants is a word that gets thrown around a lot, but let's break it down simply. These are natural compounds that help reduce inflammation, protect your cells, and improve the way your body processes sugar. Here's something you might not know. Eating just a handful of blueberries a few times a week has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity. That means your body uses insulin more efficiently, which helps keep your blood sugar levels steady. Think of it like oiling the gears in an old clock. Things just move smoother. And get this. Blueberries don't cause the kind of blood sugar spikes you might expect from something sweet. That's because they have a relatively low glycemic index, which means they're digested and absorbed slowly. So you get the sweet taste, the fiber, and all those helpful plant compounds without the sugar crash. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Blueberries may also help improve something called endothelial function. That's just a fancy way of saying they help your blood vessels relax and stay healthy. For folks over 60, that's a big deal. Healthy blood flow means better heart health, better brain health, and yes, better energy levels too. You might be wondering, how much do I need to eat to get the benefits? You don't need a whole tub. Just half a cup to a cup of fresh or frozen blueberries a few times a week can make a real difference. Add them to oatmeal, blend them into a smoothie, or just eat them by the spoonful. If you're dealing with sore joints, fatigue, or forgetfulness, blueberries might just become your new best friend. And let me tell you a quick story. One gentleman I spoke with, Harold, he's 72, retired, and had been struggling with his A1C creeping up over the years. He wasn't keen on changing his diet too much, but once he started having blueberries every other morning with breakfast, not only did he say he felt more alert, but his blood sugar readings started to level out. It wasn't a dramatic overnight change. It was gradual, gentle, and exactly what his body needed. That's the kind of support we're talking about. Now, while blueberries are doing all this good work quietly, there's another fruit that's even more surprising. It's sweet, it's creamy, and for a long time, it had a bad reputation when it comes to blood sugar. But recent research is painting a whole new picture, and that fruit is the humble banana. Yes, I said banana. I know, it might sound a little shocking. For years, people have been told to stay away from bananas if they're watching their sugar. But the truth is, not all bananas are created equal, and it turns out that when you eat them matters just as much as what you eat. See, a banana that's just barely ripe, still a little green at the edges, has a type of starch in it called resistant starch. This starch acts more like fiber in your body. It doesn't break down into sugar quickly. Instead, it passes through your digestive system more slowly, feeding the good bacteria in your gut and helping to keep blood sugar more stable. That means, if you choose your banana wisely, slightly green, firm to the touch, you can actually support your metabolism, improve digestion, and even reduce cravings. And bananas, like blueberries, have their own set of nutrients that help with energy, nerve function, and heart health, things that become more important as we age. They're also rich in vitamin B6 and potassium. Potassium in particular is something many older adults don't get enough of. And guess what? Potassium helps lower blood pressure and supports muscle function. That's why you sometimes hear bananas referred to as nature's electrolyte drink. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Isn't sugar still sugar? And you're right to ask. But the sugar in a banana comes bundled with fiber, water, and nutrients, which changes the way it behaves in your body. When you eat it with a source of protein or fat, like a small handful of nuts or a spoon of peanut butter, the impact on blood sugar is even gentler. So instead of cutting out sweet fruits completely, it's about choosing them wisely, eating them at the right time of day, and pairing them in smart ways. And that makes a world of difference. Because let's be honest, life after 60 should still have sweetness in it. There's no need to fear the fruit bowl. And here's something else that often gets overlooked. When you enjoy foods that you like, you're more likely to stick with healthy habits. That's not just theory, it's human nature. Nobody wants to feel deprived or punished by their diet. And you don't have to. You just have to know what works with your body, not against it. Let me ask you something. When's the last time you enjoyed a banana without guilt? Or tossed a few blueberries into your breakfast and smiled, knowing you were doing something good for yourself? It's those little choices, those small moments that stack up into real results over time. So the next time someone tells you that fruit is off limits, you can smile and say, well, actually, and share a little wisdom about blueberries and bananas. Because when it comes to managing diabetes naturally, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes we just have to look at what nature has already given us, right under our noses. Now, we've talked about two simple, sweet fruits, but we're only just getting started. Now that we've talked about those two wonderful fruits, blueberries and bananas, maybe you're already picturing a bowl of oatmeal topped with both. Or maybe you're thinking back to the last time you avoided a banana, thinking it wasn't diabetic friendly. That's the beauty of understanding how your body works. Once you know better, you can do better, without fear, and without feeling like you have to give up everything you love. But let's go a little deeper. Because the truth is, food is only part of the story. It's a big part, yes, but not the whole thing. I want to spend some time with you now on how these fruits don't just help with blood sugar, they actually help support the whole system that controls your energy, mood, and long-term health. And understanding that system makes a big difference. Let's start with something that a lot of folks overlook: gut health. I know, it's not the most glamorous topic, but trust me, it's important. Inside your belly lives something called the gut microbiome. It's basically a whole world of bacteria, good and bad, working behind the scenes. When the good guys are in charge, your digestion is smoother, your immune system is stronger, and yes, your blood sugar control gets better. Now here's where blueberries and bananas come back into the picture. Both of these fruits help feed the good bacteria in your gut. Think of it like tending to a garden. The fiber and resistant starch they provide are like compost for the good microbes. And when those microbes are happy, they release compounds that reduce inflammation, regulate appetite, and even affect how your brain feels. Isn't that something? The food you eat can actually influence your mood and your motivation. Have you ever noticed how a cranky stomach often comes with a cranky mind? Or how some days you just feel off without knowing why? That's not your imagination. It's the gut-brain connection at work. And the more balanced your gut is, the more balanced you feel, physically, emotionally, and yes, metabolically. So when someone says, It's just fruit. Don't let them fool you. It's not just about the sweetness or the sugar, it's about what those fruits do once they're inside your body. And when they're helping your gut, they're helping your pancreas, your immune system, your blood vessels, everything. Now, I know some folks are still hesitant. Maybe you've been burned by diets before. Maybe someone promised a magic solution that never worked. That kind of thing can leave a bad taste in your mouth. But what we're talking about here isn't a quick fix. It's nourishment. Real, slow, steady support. The kind your body knows what to do with. The kind that feels gentle, not extreme. And speaking of gentle changes, let's talk about one more little shift that can make these fruits work even harder for you. Timing. When you eat these fruits matters just as much as if you eat them. Have you ever had something sweet late at night and then struggled to sleep? Or felt sluggish in the afternoon and reached for coffee or a snack that didn't help much? That's your blood sugar rhythm talking to you. And once you learn to listen, it gets easier to give your body what it actually needs. Here's a simple rule of thumb. Try to eat fruit earlier in the day. Morning or midday is best. Why? Because your body is more insulin sensitive in the morning. That means your cells are better at absorbing sugar and using it for energy. So when you eat blueberries in your breakfast or have half a banana as part of your lunch, your body can handle it more efficiently, and you feel more energized, not weighed down. A good example is Maria. She's 68, retired, and used to snack on fruit after dinner. Then she started noticing her blood sugar was higher in the morning. We talked about timing, and she shifted her fruit intake to before 3 p.m. Within a couple of weeks, her fasting glucose numbers improved, and she said she slept better too. That's the kind of small, smart change that pays off. And here's another tip. Pair your fruit with a little protein or fat, a spoonful of Greek yogurt with your blueberries, a few almonds with your banana. This combination helps slow down how fast the sugar enters your bloodstream, keeping things more stable and preventing that sugar spike and crash. It's like adding a seatbelt to your meal, just a little extra protection. Now, I want to pause here for a second and say something important. You're doing great. I know this is a lot of information, and if your head is spinning a bit, that's okay. Take a breath. This is not about being perfect. It's not about cutting out every single thing or following a strict plan. It's about listening to your body, one choice at a time. And I'm right here with you as we walk through this, because at this stage in life, you deserve peace around food. You deserve to enjoy what you eat, to feel energized after a meal instead of tired or anxious. And you absolutely deserve the truth about what's good for you, without fear-mongering, without shame, and without confusion. So if you're watching this and thinking, maybe I could try adding a few blueberries in the morning, or maybe I'll start keeping a few green bananas around. You're already on the right track. That's the beginning of a new habit, one that supports you instead of restricting you. And let's not forget, the kitchen can be a place of joy again. It's not just where the medicine cabinet lives. It's where comfort, memory, and connection live too. That bowl of fruit you prepare, that can be your daily act of self-care. That moment when you choose something that loves your body back. It reminds me of my own grandmother. She used to slice a banana every morning, sprinkle it with cinnamon, and sit by the window with her tea. She'd say, "This is my moment of sweetness before the day gets busy." Now, she didn't know about resistant starch or gut bacteria back then, but she knew what her body liked, and that little moment became a ritual that kept her grounded and healthy for years. And isn't that what we all want? Simple, kind. Routines that help us feel like ourselves again. Because aging doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean shrinking your world or living in fear of your next doctor's visit. It means learning how to partner with your body in a new way. It means asking yourself, how can I feel more alive today? And sometimes that answer starts with something as small and powerful as a fruit. Now, we've talked about what to eat and when to eat it. But there's still more to the story, because the way you live around your meals matters too. What you do after you eat, how you move, how you rest. These small choices build on each other, and they can turn two simple fruits into the foundation of a whole new chapter in your health. So let's keep walking this path together. You know, there's something beautiful about reaching a point in life where you can look back and see how far you've come. All the meals you've prepared, all the times you chose to care for your family before yourself. Maybe you've had a few health scares. Maybe you've heard the word diabetes more times than you'd like. And maybe, just maybe, you're tired of feeling like food is the enemy. But here's what I want you to hear from me right now, like a friend sitting across the table from you. Food isn't the enemy. It's the invitation. It's your body asking for kindness, not punishment. And every time you choose something nourishing, something that makes your cells, your mind, and your heart feel supported, that's a step toward healing. We've talked a lot about blueberries and bananas and how they can support your blood sugar, your gut, your energy. But there's another piece we haven't touched yet, and it's something many people overlook, especially as we get older. That piece is movement. Now, before you sigh or think I'm going to tell you to hit the gym 5 times a week, stay with me. Because what I mean by movement isn't punishment or sweat or pushing your body to exhaustion. What I mean is this: gentle, intentional motion that helps your body use the sugar in your blood. You see, after you eat, especially after a meal that includes carbohydrates, your blood sugar rises. That's normal, but how quickly it rises and how well it comes back down depends on a lot of things. And one of the best ways to help your body lower that sugar naturally is to move your muscles. Even something as simple as a 10-minute walk after a meal can help. Just walking around your home, stepping outside to breathe in the evening air, or stretching gently while the dishes soak in the sink, that counts. Your muscles are like little sponges for sugar. When you move them, they pull sugar out of the bloodstream and into the cells, where it gets used for energy instead of just floating around causing damage. A woman I know named Carol, who's 72, and lives alone, started doing what she calls her blueberry walks. Every morning after breakfast, she walks around her block. Nothing fast, just enough to enjoy the breeze and wave to a neighbor or two. She told me the walks have become her favorite part of the day, not because she's trying to burn calories, but because she feels alive. She feels in charge of her body again. And that's what this is really about. Not rules, not restrictions. Reconnection. Reconnecting with what makes you feel good, what gives you energy, what reminds you that you still have agency, that your choices still matter, maybe more now than ever. Another powerful tool: water. Simple, clean. Water. Most people don't drink enough of it, but water plays a direct role in how well your body processes sugar. Think of it like this: your bloodstream is like a river. When it gets too thick or sluggish, everything slows down. But when you're well hydrated, that river flows more smoothly, helping your kidneys filter out excess sugar, helping your cells do their jobs, and even reducing sugar cravings. So here's something small you can do. Start and end your day with a glass of water. Nothing fancy, just cool, fresh water. Maybe squeeze in a bit of lemon if you like. Let it be a quiet ritual, a way of telling your body, I see you. I'm here. Let's do this together. Now, I want to circle back to something I mentioned earlier: cinnamon. It's one of those beautiful, fragrant little gifts from nature that does more than just add flavor. When used the right way, cinnamon can actually help your body become more sensitive to insulin, the hormone that regulates blood sugar. Adding a sprinkle of cinnamon to your blueberries, your banana, your morning tea, or your Greek yogurt, that's not just tasty, that's healing. It helps stabilize your blood sugar and gives your food a little extra punch of natural medicine. Just be sure it's the right kind. Ceylon cinnamon is the most beneficial and safest for long-term use, especially if you're using it daily. And speaking of flavor, can we talk for a moment about joy? Yes, joy. Because you deserve that too. Not just steady blood sugar and clean labs, but joy. You deserve to bite into something sweet and feel pleasure, not guilt. To know that food can be both delicious and healing. And that every small step you take isn't just good for your body, it's a declaration. A declaration that you're still here, still choosing, still caring. There's a man I speak to regularly. His name is George. He's 79, a retired mechanic, and for years he lived on what he calls the tan diet: toast, potatoes, crackers, and meat. Not a lot of color. But after his diabetes diagnosis, he made a change. One day he said, "I realized my plate needed to look like my garden, full of color." Now George starts every morning with a bowl of steel-cut oats, blueberries, and half a banana. He calls it his get up and go. His doctor's impressed. But more importantly, George says he feels proud. And I think that pride is something we don't talk about enough. That quiet sense of dignity that comes from taking care of yourself, especially when it would be easier not to, especially when no one's watching. So if you're watching this now and wondering where to start, here's your answer. Start where you are. Don't worry about getting everything right. Don't count, don't obsess, don't overthink. Just start with something simple: a fruit that loves you back, a moment of movement, a glass of water, a sprinkle of cinnamon, a little decision. That turns into a habit, and a habit that turns into health, because that's how change really happens. Not with drama or big declarations, but with small, quiet moments of courage, the kind you've already shown, just by being here with me. And remember, this isn't about perfection. It's about progression, about moving one step at a time toward the life you want to keep living. A life full of sweetness, of flavor, of freedom. A life where diabetes doesn't get to call all the shots. You do. So take that next walk. Buy those blueberries. Slice that banana. Savor your breakfast instead of rushing it. Breathe. Smile. And know that this gentle, grounded way of living is not just good for you, it's sustainable, it's joyful, and it's yours. You know, one of the things that becomes so clear as we get older is just how much stillness we've had to sit through. Doctor's appointments, waiting rooms, the quiet of the house after the kids are gone, the stillness in the grocery aisle while we squint at a label wondering, can I eat this? But stillness isn't the same as peace, and in many ways, what we're searching for at this stage isn't just better numbers on a lab sheet. It's peace. Peace with food, peace with our body, peace with all the choices that led us here, and peace with the ones we can still make today. Because the truth is, diabetes can take a lot. It can take your energy, your confidence, even your joy if you let it. But what I hope you're beginning to see is that it doesn't have to. When you reach for that banana in the morning, or those blueberries in your yogurt, you're reclaiming something. You're reminding your body, I'm on your side. That you can love something sweet without fearing it. That nature has already given us tools to heal. We just need to trust them again. And speaking of nature's gifts, let me tell you about a quiet little hero in this story: fiber. I know, it doesn't sound exciting, but hear me out. Fiber is like the wise grandmother of the nutrition world. It's calm, it's steady, and it keeps things in balance. When you eat fiber, it slows the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream. That means less spikes, less crashes. It also feeds the good bacteria in your gut, which, believe it or not, can help regulate blood sugar, reduce inflammation, and even improve your mood. And guess where you find lots of fiber? You guessed it. Those beautiful, naturally sweet fruits like bananas and blueberries. Especially when you eat them whole, not juiced, not stripped down into a smoothie, but just as they are, with their skin, their texture, their fullness. So, if you're looking for a way to gently support your blood sugar while still enjoying something delicious, aim to eat your fruits whole. Pair them with a little protein or healthy fat, like a spoon of almond butter with a banana or a bit of plain Greek yogurt with your blueberries. That combination not only keeps your blood sugar steady, but it keeps you satisfied longer. And isn't that what we're all looking for? Not just to eat, but to feel satisfied. Not just full, but nourished. Nourishment is more than food. It's knowing you're cared for even if it's just by yourself. Especially by yourself. Now I want to touch on something that I know is close to many hearts: medications. If you've been managing diabetes for a while, chances are you've been prescribed something, maybe metformin, maybe insulin, maybe something newer. And while those medications have their place and can be very helpful, I want you to know this: food isn't meant to replace your medication without guidance, but it can work with it. I've had the privilege of speaking with many seniors over the years who were able to reduce their medications, not because they went on a drastic diet, but because they made consistent, loving choices. They walked a little more. They swapped one sugary snack for a piece of fruit. They added cinnamon to their oatmeal. They gave themselves permission to try, and that's what I hope you feel right now. Not pressure, not guilt, just permission. Permission to try. Permission to take one gentle step forward. I remember a gentleman named Harold, 81, always wore suspenders, always had a story. He told me once, "I thought it was too late for me. My numbers were a mess, and I figured, why bother?" But one day, his granddaughter handed him a banana and said, "This is sweet, Papa, and it's good for your heart." That moment broke something open in him. He started small. Just fruit in the morning instead of toast with jam. A walk around the garden. More water. And over time, slowly, steadily, his blood sugar came down. But more than that, his hope came back. That's what this is really about, isn't it? Hope. Because when you're over 60, you've likely heard too many shoulds and shouldn'ts. You've carried decades of advice, warnings, and maybe a little fear. But I'm here to say that you're still in the driver's seat. That change doesn't care how old you are. Healing doesn't have an expiration date. So here's what I'd love for you to do today, or maybe tomorrow morning. Sit down with a bowl of fruit, blueberries, banana, whatever you have. Eat it slowly. Taste it. Let it remind you that food is meant to support you, not scare you. Then stand up. Walk for 10 minutes. Nothing fancy. Just enough to say, "I'm here and I'm choosing to care." Then drink a glass of water. Think of it as a toast to your strength, to your story, to all the mornings you woke up and tried again. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about blueberries or bananas or cinnamon or fiber. It's about you, your courage, your willingness to take small steps, your quiet determination to keep moving forward, even when the path is uncertain. You're not alone on this journey. Not now. Not ever. And you don't have to do everything at once, just one kind choice at a time. That's the secret. That's the magic. So here's to you, to the meals that nourish, the movements that heal, the moments of stillness that become peace, and the sweetness, yes, the sweetness that reminds you how far you've come. There's a moment, somewhere between waking up and the first sip of water in the morning, when the day still feels new, quiet, full of possibility. That's the moment I think about most when it comes to change, because it reminds us that even after all these years, after all the birthdays, all the diagnoses, all the doctor visits and family dinners and hard days, we're still being given another chance, another day to try, another day to care for ourselves, another day to choose hope instead of fear. And it's in that same spirit that we come full circle in our conversation about these two sweet, humble fruits, bananas and blueberries. Not just because they're tasty, not just because they make breakfast feel a little less lonely, but because they symbolize something deeper, the idea that health can be simple again. You see, it's easy to believe that improving our health means restriction, suffering, and going without. But what if we turned that idea on its head? What if getting healthier after 60 wasn't about losing, but about adding moments of joy, adding foods that love you back, adding small, delicious choices that carry you closer to balance, not away from pleasure. When you enjoy a banana in the morning, yes, with its natural sugars, you're not doing anything wrong. You're doing something wise. You're giving your body potassium to support your heart, fiber to support your digestion, and a source of energy that's been trusted for generations. When you toss a handful of blueberries into your oatmeal, you're not indulging in a guilty pleasure. You're eating something rich in antioxidants that may protect your brain, support your eyes, and gently reduce inflammation throughout your body. That's not just food. That's medicine in its most delicious form. And while we've talked a lot about science and nutrients and blood sugar today, I want to leave you with something that goes beyond all of that. I want to talk about trust. Because somewhere along the way, many of us stopped trusting our bodies. Maybe it was a diagnosis that shook your confidence. Maybe it was years of hearing that what you love, bread, fruit, even a warm bowl of rice, is now the enemy. And maybe you've felt like your body betrayed you. But my friend, I want to offer a new idea. What if your body has been trying to protect you all along? What if every ache, every ounce of fatigue, every sugar spike was just your body whispering, "I need your help. I'm doing my best. Can we work together?" Because when we shift from punishment to partnership, everything changes. You start to see your meals as acts of care, not control. You begin to walk not to burn calories, but to reconnect with your breath, your thoughts, your environment. You hydrate not because you're afraid of dehydration, but because you deserve to feel clear and refreshed. And every piece of fruit becomes not a risk, but a reminder that the earth in all its wisdom has always provided gentle support for your body. I think of people like Maria, who told me, "I stopped eating bananas for years because I thought they were bad for my sugar. But once I learned how to pair them with protein and eat smaller portions, I brought them back into my life. And you know what? I felt joy again. It was like seeing an old friend." Joy. That's the word I want to linger in your heart as we wrap up this conversation. Because while diabetes may require careful choices, it should never require you to give up joy. In fact, it's the joy, the simple joys of walking in the garden, savoring a sweet fruit, preparing a meal with your hands, that keep you engaged, empowered, and alive. You've learned that bananas and blueberries, when eaten thoughtfully, can be powerful allies in your journey. You've seen how fiber, antioxidants, and gentle nourishment can lower inflammation, stabilize your blood sugar, and support your whole body. And you've heard that no matter your age, no matter your history, you are still worthy of health. So, now, the question becomes, what do you want to choose today? Maybe it's a new breakfast habit. Maybe it's a walk after lunch. Maybe it's just a promise to be kinder to yourself when you look in the mirror. Whatever it is, know this: you're not starting from scratch. You're continuing a life filled with wisdom, with effort, and with love. And if you ever feel discouraged, if the numbers aren't moving fast enough, or the habits feel too hard, or someone tells you you're too old to turn things around, I want you to remember this conversation. I want you to remember that healing isn't linear. It's not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about heart. So let me be the one to say it clearly. You're doing better than you think. You're showing up. You're learning. You're choosing a better path with each step, each bite, each morning. That is powerful. That is enough. Now, if this video spoke to you, if it made you feel less alone, if it reminded you of your strength, leave me a comment below. I'd love to hear your story, your challenges, your victories. Because your voice matters, your experience matters, and someone else reading your words might find the encouragement they've been searching for, and if you haven't already, go ahead and give this video a like. It helps more people just like you find these gentle reminders. And if you'd like to keep walking this journey with me, subscribe to the channel. I'm here every week with more conversations just like this, practical, hopeful, and always full of care. So here's to you, to the courage it takes to begin again, to the sweetness that still belongs in your life, and to the peace that comes when you realize you're not fighting your body anymore. You're walking with it, one sweet, steady step at a time.